We're here for a review hearing in the matter of SR. Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to mute you because there's a lot of background noise. So please stay muted. Thank you. We're in the matter of SR, case number 24-51972NA. Present in the virtual courtroom, we have Mr. Rodriguez. You do indicate that it's both you and the mother. Is that correct? Now you can unmute.
Yes, she's here in the car with me.
Okay, and okay, in the back there. All right, and
Yes.
are you pulled over?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so both parents are present, along with mother's attorney, Lee Jennings, who is also acting as guardian ad litem today for Ms. Garcia. We have, as I indicated, Mr. Rodriguez, who is the father, his attorney, Michael Triburen, the child's attorney, Stacy Van Dyken, various agency workers, foster parent, and the CASA, Ms. Tripkowski. Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you, Ed. I would call Ashley Pastor.
Okay. Would you raise your right hand, please? Would you spell your name and state it for the record?
ASHLEEPASTOR. My name is Ashley Pastor.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Van Dyken.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, where are you employed?
I'm employed with Fall Spring Lutheran Services.
And in that capacity, you've been assigned as the foster care worker for SR?
Correct.
And as goes along with that capacity of foster care worker, you have supplied the court and counsel with a number of reports for today's hearing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to list those for admissions today.
Please do.
I have the case service plan, date of report 9/11/25, and the appropriate attachments of parent agency treatment plans, Exhibit 1. I have an undated letter from Alex Prince of Humankind as Exhibit 2. As Exhibit 3, I have a packet of forensic fluid drug tests for Ms. Garcia. As Exhibit 4, I have a packet of forensic fluid drug tests for Mr. Rodriguez. As Exhibit 5, I have 2 YWCA reports, one from September and one from August, as Exhibit 5. As Exhibit 6, I have a foster care supportive visitation report. As Exhibit 7, I have a CASA report, date of report 9/23/25. And finally, as Exhibit 8, I have 2 parent nurturing reports, date of report 10/1. I have those 8. I'd like to...
No, go ahead.
I'd like to mark and admit for today's hearing.
Any objection?
No objection.
No objection. Thank you.
All right, they're admitted.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, could you tell us how SR is doing it in foster care?
Currently, overall, she's doing really well. She started school. She's making friends. So that seems to be going well. She also ditched gymnastics for cheerleading, and she seems to be enjoying that much more. I think she's enjoying more of the team aspect versus the individual aspect. That one has less parental involvement too. It's more like they focus on doing the routine and parents can come in for the last 5 minutes to see what they've been working on. She's still going to therapy and that seems to be going well. Parenting times are going well. They have become very consistent. For the previous couple months, they were around like 75%. And as they become more consistent, she's starting to baby talk a little more. We're a little confused on that. She's addressing that in therapy, and she's also doing speech at school and with a speech therapist outside of school as well. I think that's all for her. Overall, she's doing really well. She's up to date on medical and dental, and there are no concerns really.
And I did note in the report from Ms. Prinz that she was struggling when the parents weren't consistent with their parenting time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, but they've remedied that and they are more consistent.
Correct, yes,
Okay. Let's move on to the parents. They're working a joint treatment plan, correct?
correct.
And what barriers have they been working on during this report period?
They've continued to work on substance use as there were previous concerns. They've continued to work on domestic violence as that continues to be a concern. They're working on their parenting skills, their mental health, and we've been trying to assist Miss Garcia with focusing on her personal health as well, as that has been a concern. Both parents have started a parenting class through Arbor Circle, the nurturing parenting class. Mr. Rodriguez has attended all 4 sessions so far. Miss Garcia did miss one, but she's already scheduled for the makeup for that. And it is reported that they are both engaged appropriately and present for those classes. Miss Garcia is still struggling a little bit to be consistent with her therapy. If she doesn't have someone kind of like walking her through getting logged on to the Zoom, she struggles a little bit. We did address it in the FTM to see like different things that she could do, like come to our agency, she could go to the YWCA, she could call the therapist, she could go to a friend's house just so she has someone to help her. But this is still continued to be an issue. So I did discuss with the therapist if she could do Microsoft Teams instead of Zoom, because I have had some success with getting Miss Garcia on meetings with Teams instead. So she said she's going to try that this Friday to see if that makes a difference. Mr. Rodriguez was struggling a bit with being consistent with his group, but he did report he's gone the last couple of weeks and promises to continue to be consistent with that. He is currently searching for an AA meeting that fits within his schedule because he would like to address those concerns that he's had in the past with alcohol. And parenting times are going very well. Both parents are very present and engaged with Sophia. They bring appropriate food and snacks. And they have been very flexible with us as well, because we have had a lot of staff moving around and new workers coming in. So we did have to change their schedule a couple of times. And they were still able to maintain their consistency through that.
You mentioned the mother's health, that she struggles, she has epilepsy, correct?
Correct.
That does impede her ability to have consistent employment?
To my knowledge, yes. But she has had employment in the past. I just think it's if she were to have a seizure like during work, or if she's not feeling well and has to miss work frequently, then it does impede on her ability to maintain that employment. I have discussed with her over this reporting period, like trying to get her into the doctor. And she does have a medication that she's prescribed. So I did recommend that she call whoever is on that bottle. And it does sound like she has an appointment set up. I think it's tomorrow. So hopefully that goes well, and she can get that reviewed appropriately. And if her meds need to be changed, hopefully that can happen as well.
And I know in both parties' drug screens, they're consistent use of THC, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Has anybody talked to Miss Garcia about how that might impact her epilepsy?
I would leave that up to a medical professional. I'm not a doctor, but I do know that it may potentially have adverse effects on her epilepsy. But again, I'm not a professional, so I don't want to make any recommendations or anything on that.
And it seems they are consistently using THC. Have we put together a safety plan for a sober person if they're continuing to use?
We can work on that, but marijuana is legal. So we can't necessarily keep them from doing that, but we can safety plan around that. In other cases, when we've moved towards reunification, we made sure there was like a lockbox in the home, made sure they're not using in the home, like safety planned around that. When they come to visits, they don't, smell like marijuana or seem like they're under the influence as well. So it hasn't really been like a direct concern to us, at least since I've been the caseworker.
And anything else concerning the parents at this time?
I was informed this morning that Mr. Rodriguez was arrested last night. Clearly he's here, he's out on bond. The charges weren't listed. I did try to ask him beforehand, but I'm unsure what the charges were.
You'll follow up with that.
Correct.
Would return of SR to her, either parent at this time, put her at risk to her life, physical health, or mental well-being?
I believe so.
And is it appropriate, and is it time to look at moving the goal change to termination of parental rights?
I believe that the parents should be issued a 90-day warning before we move towards that goal change, but I do believe that is appropriate to start looking in that direction.
Okay, I want to be clear. So you are saying that it's appropriate to move towards termination of parental rights? That would be in SR's best interest.
Yes.
But you are still willing and to be cooperative and offer them services so they can fully engage going forward in the next 90 days.
Correct.
And is Wellspring operating under reasonable, prudent parenting standards through the foster parent giving SR the ability to engage in age-appropriate activities?
Absolutely, yes.
What are your recommendations today?
It's respectfully recommended that Sophia remain a temporary court ward under the care of the Department of Health and Human Services. Sophia remain placed in her current licensed foster home or with an appropriate relative. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez participate and benefit from their parent agency treatment plan. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez parenting times remain supervised by the agency or its designee, and the agency continue to have discretion over those parenting times. The parents be issued a 90-day warning and the case be reviewed in 90 days.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings.
Thank you. Ms. Pastor, with regard to Ms. Garcia, has she signed a release of information for you to be able to get information from her doctor's appointment, or have you asked her to do that?
When all cases come into care, all parents sign a release of information for that. So we do have one on file. I just am not aware of the specific doctor that she's seeing yet,
Okay.
But I can get that information.
Okay. And so you'll ask her about that. And are there certain things that you want her to talk to her doctor about when she goes to her appointment? Like a medication review, since the correct me if I'm wrong, but the medication, she has been taking her current epilepsy medication properly, correct?
Correct, as far as we're aware. But she's continued to have increased episodes. So we have discussed during previous FTMs, as well as when I see her multiple times every month, that it's probably wise to ask to review that medication, see if she needs an increased dosage or a different medication altogether, just to make sure she's properly treating that.
Okay, so you talked with her about the fact that that's one thing you want her to talk to her doctor about. Is there anything else that you think she should be talking to her doctor about with regard to her epilepsy or her health that you want to know?
I think the main concern is her epilepsy, as it has affected her ability to be consistent with parenting time sometimes, as she's missed visits, or again with work. Maybe a better medication that allows it to be managed better could allow her to work more consistently, or at least maybe part-time. But yeah, that is the main thing that I would like her to address with her doctor.
She has previously made an application for Social Security disability based on her epilepsy, correct?
Correct. And that is a qualifying diagnosis for disability. Sorry, I couldn't find the word.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I read through everything that is required to apply for disability and potentially be approved. There are some stipulations that if she is able to work, then she would potentially be denied. So that could also be something that is affecting that, because she has worked previously.
But my understanding from reading your report is that she actually has been unable over the last report period to keep a job because her epilepsy has reoccurred so often. Is that correct?
Correct. That's what's reported to me, correct.
And so she was ultimately, I think during this report period, or maybe even earlier, received a denial of her application for Social Security disability.
Correct. And I've
And-
discussed with her the appropriate offices or numbers that she can call to see if she can sit down with someone who is versed in applying for disability to go through that application with her to make sure it's done correctly. I've reminded her, I made her a personalized calendar as well, and on the bottom it has addresses, phone numbers, and other things for applying for Medicaid, for disability, reaching out to HealthNet, making sure they're using all their resources. And as far as I'm aware at this time, she has not gone. And I told her that she could always reach out to me, and if I'm available, that I could take her as well.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Rodriguez and Ms. Garcia, you need to stay muted. There's just an awful lot of background noise. You're both represented by attorneys, so we're going to mute you. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. So Ms. Pasteur, then did you happen to look at any of the denial paperwork?
No, I was not provided with the denial paperwork. When she told me that she had been denied, this was around the time that I'd taken over the case, and the previous worker wasn't provided with that either.
Okay. So you're not aware if perhaps there's something she should be getting from her doctor at this doctor's visit that would help her with her reapplication for Social Security disability?
It's probably beneficial for her to keep the after visit summary paperwork and maybe even have a written letter from the doctor explaining her disability and how it affects her. That's, I don't think it could hurt for her application.
All right. Ms. Garcia and Mr. Rodriguez's housing is appropriate for them for now, correct?
Correct.
And you said parenting times have been much more consistent and they go well, correct?
Correct.
Is there anything at this point in time that you're asking Ms. Garcia to do that she has not been compliant with?
Maintaining her consistency with the YWCA, her mental health, as well as addressing the domestic violence issues that have come up in the past between her and Mr. Rodriguez are really important. And that's something that I just haven't seen over this report. Well, over the time I've had the case. She typically attends like one session per month at least, but I have yet to see a month where she's attended all of them. And I think obviously they've been more consistent with parenting times, staying consistent with this parenting class. I do think potentially another class after this one would also be beneficial. And again, her health, her personal health, I think is something that she really needs to address. And obviously I can't, make doctor's appointments for her. I can't force her to go to the doctor. So addressing that is really important. Something that they were working on in supportive visitation was Miss Garcia had been reporting she was like sleepwalking, and she was like walking out the front door, like almost into the street. So they were working on a real life scenario, like, well, what if Sophia was to follow you? Like, you're sleepwalking, obviously you can't address that. So like that's a concern. I know as children, we typically like to follow our parents. So if she did see her mom walk out the door, she might want to go with her. So
is that something else you've maybe suggested that she talk to her doctor about the fact that she's sleepwalking?
we did talk about it in the FTM, as well as, again, it was being addressed in supportive visitation. When I was talking about it earlier,
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt again. Mr. Rodriguez, it appears you're driving. I need you to pull over in a safe place, and you need to stay stationary. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So many of the things you just listed are in progress, and Ms. Garcia has made steps in these directions as far as, you know, getting the appointment with her doctor, attending with more consistency for her parenting time, going to the parenting classes that have been set up. You're just really looking for her to maintain that and be even more consistent. Specifically, it sounds like with the why counseling, which has probably been her, I don't want to say like least, maybe her least successful, I guess, component of the things that you're asking her to do. Is that fair to say?
Yes. But the case has been open for about a year now, and we still have yet to see that consistency. So that's where some of the concern is lying.
Sure. Your recommendation at this point from your report was that the goal actually remain reunification at this time.
But
Correct.
a 90-day warning be issued, which means that we are considering looking at terminating parental rights.
Sure. But are you saying that basically when you say 90 days warning, are you thinking really that reunifications should stay the goal as stated in your report, but that we really examine this next 90-day period, because if things aren't going well in this 90-day period, you would be changing a recommendation to a termination recommendation?
Correct.
Okay. So you're not asking for a termination hearing in for it to happen 90 days from now?
No.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Mr. Triburen.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Pastor, regarding Mr. Rodriguez, he is working as or for a roofing company, correct?
Correct. And we have been discussing that. He told me that he wanted a different job around the beginning of September. And he's still working at the roofing company. I told him if he needed any help, I'm able to assist him in looking for employment. He said he wanted to go through like a temp agency, but it doesn't appear that he's done that yet.
Do you know is he looking for a temp job to kind of cover him through the winter and then return to the roofing job, or a completely new job?
To my knowledge, a new job entirely.
Okay. Are you able to provide him the name and or contact number of some temp agencies?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you know, I guess on that same question, do you know whether he is familiar with applying through a temp agency and how that process might work?
Yes, to my knowledge, he's previously been employed through temp agencies before.
And he's currently been working quite a few hours, including overtime, correct?
Correct. But we've discussed previously that it is important that he does participate in his services. Obviously, we do want him to work, be able to continue putting food on the table, keeping the roof over the heads. But this has been an ongoing issue where the job might interfere with some of the services he's supposed to be doing. And it's just been too long and too much inconsistency.
You don't mean inconsistency in terms of work history. You mean that that's causing other challenges?
Yeah, interferences with him making progress in the case.
And if he wanted to, do you know if he could return to the roofing job in the spring?
I would assume so, yes.
Is that something we could look into, considering it seems to be a good job that provides a pretty decent income when you factor in the overtime?
That's something that we can discuss, yeah.
And is there a way to, I guess, it seems a little bit unfair. Would you agree to tell him, well, you need to work less so you can do your services? I mean, is there a way to work around this so he can, he needs to provide an income for his family, correct?
Correct. And we're not asking him to work less. We're just asking him to find a job that's a better suited schedule. So he can fit the services in that he needs to do. Because that has been the issue, is that his schedule is rather inconsistent. Sometimes he could get out at 2 o'clock, it could start raining. He might not work that day at all. Sometimes he gets out at like 7 o'clock at night. So that not knowing, but having pre-scheduled like appointments with the YWCA for his group, parenting class, which again, he's been consistent with, and parenting times and stuff like that. There has been interferences in the past and he still hasn't been able to be consistent with his group at the YWCA. And part of why he hasn't been attending AA was because of his job as well.
Okay, but you can work with him on, okay, you can work with him on, I guess, making that contact with the temp agency.
Correct.
In terms of your, your 90-day warning, what do you mostly want him to, Mr. Rodriguez, to focus on this next report period?
Same thing as Miss Garcia. I want him to be consistent. He needs to go to group, every week. Obviously life happens and, if he's sick or something comes up, it happens. But like consistency is key. Continuing to maintain consistency with his parenting times, and finishing out that parenting class, which he does seem to be doing well in currently. And I am concerned about this arrest and these charges, as I'm not aware what they are and what that could mean for the future, because he is out on bond, so that could potentially mean he might be going back, which would interfere with the case as well and his progress.
Safe to say regarding the arrest, at this point, you don't know anything other than the fact that he was arrested?
When I looked it up, it lists that there was 3 charges and it listed the bond amount for all 3 charges, but it didn't list what the specific charges were.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Ms. Van Dyken, any follow-up?
No follow-up, Your Honor.
Right. Ms. Jennings, any follow-up?
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Van Dyken, any further witnesses?
No other witnesses or evidence, Your Honor.
Right. Ms. Jennings, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Toburin?
No, thank you.
All right, statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the recommendation is appropriate, although it's a little odd. Parents are always on notice that termination of parental is available if they don't complete their parent agency treatment plan, engage and benefit from the same. So a 90-day warning is given to them every time we're in court. It's a warning that they need to engage and benefit from services. The child has just been in care for just a little under a year, so I would ask that the court continue the current goal for reunification at the next report, and then the next hearing be made a permanency planning hearing as well. I have met with my client. She is doing fabulously in foster care, and it's meeting all of her needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jennings?
Your Honor, I think that the goal at this point in time to remain reunification is appropriate, and so I'd ask the court to follow that. My client has a GAL normally, but sometimes things take a little bit longer for her. She needs a little bit extra help with things. And so I'd ask that the agency continue to make, a little extra efforts when it comes to assisting her. Like I appreciate that they're going to try and change to maybe Teams if Zoom is difficult for her, for some of her counseling sessions. Hopefully that will help. But also, so many of her things also relate to her medical condition. If, they could be very specific with her for things that she might need in order to get her Social Security disability set up, which would help her resource availability and their housing situation even further, and give her maybe some independence, if it's ever needed to be able to sustain herself. With regard to her medical appointments, and like really maybe assisting her in that regard with what she'll need to get from those medical appointments. I just ask that the agency continue to kind of give some extra support in those regards. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Toburin?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the recommendation is appropriate. I would just, regarding my client, Mr. Rodriguez, I know it's a challenge with the services that he needs to complete. On the flip side, he's the only parent working and providing income, and I know in roofing, they try to work a lot in the summer and get their overtime and income and all that. So if there's just a way to, I guess, continue to help him do both as well as possible, I'd hate to see him lose the income. But I get it as well that the services need to be completed. But overall, I think the recommendation is appropriate. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The court finds that the lawyer guardian ad litem has complied with the requirements of the statute. That returning this child to a parent today would cause a substantial risk of harm to the child's life, physical health, or mental well-being. That the child should not be returned to a parent today. That the agency should not initiate proceedings to terminate parental rights to this child because, frankly, Ms. Garcia needs a little additional time and more accommodations for her disability. That reasonable efforts have been made to preserve and reunify the family, make it possible for this child to safely return home. Those reasonable efforts for unification should be continued. In accordance with the statute, progress towards alleviating or mitigating the conditions that caused this child to remain in temporary foster care has not been made by either parent. The child's continued placement is necessary and appropriate, is meeting this child's needs. This child's needs can be met in a foster family home. That reasonable efforts have been made to finalize a court-approved permanency plan of return to a parent. That permanency planning goal continues to be appropriate. That the department foster home or institutional placement has followed the reasonable prudent parenting standard, and the child has had reasonable opportunities to engage in age developmentally appropriate activities. The court orders that this child continue in the protective and temporary custody of the court, continue placement with the Department for Care and Supervision, that the adjudicated respondents comply with and benefit from the case service plan. Parents continue to sign any and all necessary releases that are requested by MDDHHS. The parenting time of both parents is at the discretion of the agency to allow unsupervised or supervised parenting time by its designee. And I'm sorry, I just looked at my order from last time. Was a trauma assessment ever completed?
Yeah, I do believe it was attached with the report at the last hearing.
Okay.
Because it was completed prior to that.
Okay, all right. Then I will delete that from the order since that's been done. I will continue the attorneys in this matter. I will just indicate to the parents, you are, I guess, under a warning that the next 3 months, if we don't see substantial progress from both of you, that we will be moving ahead with a termination hearing. So the court is giving you an additional 3 months before moving on to that stage. But if we don't see progress, things are going to start moving rapidly after that. And Ms. Gibson, do we have a date for a permanency planning hearing in 3 months?
Yes, Your Honor, December 23 at 10 a.m.
Any conflict with that date or time?
Not for me.
No, Your Honor.
All right, we will see you then, and I hope to see that the parents have made progress, substantial